Hello, welcome to the latest edition of the Serious About Rugby League show. I'm Peter Smith of the Yorkshire Evening Post, joined by Sam Cook and Sam Brocksom from Serious About Rugby League. This is our preview show looking ahead to this weekend's Super League matches. Just before we get into it, usual request, please like this video. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do so because we really appreciate it. And let us know what you think. You can drop us a line in the comments, and we'd be glad to hear what your views on Rugby League are and on what we say in our predictions for this weekend's upcoming matches, which start on Thursday. York Knights, who've won the last two at home to Hull FC. York won at Hull earlier in the season. Sam B, how's this going to go?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Obviously, York's won the last two. Hull FC come into it off the back of a derby defeat at Magic to Hull KR, and you'd expect that Hull KR and Hull FC would maybe be the favourites going into it, but I think on form you'd maybe suggest York. So yeah, it's an interesting game. I think the fact that it's at the LNER kind of gives York a little bit of a boost, and the fact that York beat FC earlier in the season. So I think all the signs at the minute lead to a third York win. I do think it'll be tight, and I think Hull FC will certainly have something to say after that derby defeat. But yeah, I think I'll tip York for the first win of the week.
On Friday, we've got Huddersfield Giants bottom of the table at home to Bradford Bulls, who I think are second bottom. Sam C, you lucky man. You can look into this one for us. How do you think it's going to go?
I don't think Bradford will have a better chance all year than breaking their the winless run on the road. They've only won Odsal this year. I don't want to say if they don't win here, then they won't, because we know what it's like. But this is by far their best chance. Huddersfield are a wounded animal at the moment. Both teams obviously got beaten. Well, I suppose Huddersfield got a few consolation points, but they were on the end of a bad result against York, and then obviously Bradford got beaten quite comfortably off Leeds. But in that game, Bradford showed plenty. There was a sort of a 10-minute period in the second half where they had Leeds a little bit, I won't say running scared, but they definitely terrorised them down the left edge. And I think that's what you expect from Bradford. They can play. They'll play all day. And I think Jim Lenderhan's been really vocal about how his team just aren't quite up to fitness at the moment. I think Bradford can probably challenge them in that sense. And whereas a team like Leeds they might ship a few points, but they weren't going to break. I think a team like Huddersfield, just where they are at the moment, 10 straight losses, I think they can fold, and I think Bradford can get on top of them. And for me, I think it could turn ugly. You saw how clinical Bradford were in just those couple of minutes with Ethan Ryan back-to-back tries, and I think it could run out to 3 or 4 try win for Bradford. And I think it'll be deserved because I think they've been a great addition to Super League, whereas Huddersfield have kind of been Huddersfield have been Huddersfield, haven't they? So I think that's that.
Couple of really big games this weekend. First one of those is on Friday. Wigan at home to Warrington. Sam B, two sides are a little bit busted, but in contrasting form. Give us your prediction for this one, please.
Yeah, I think obviously on paper, on form, you'd have to back Wigan, but 2 more injury blows at the weekend after the St Helens win, after Nathan Lowe goes off via stretcher, and Junior December goes off with a hamstring. So Wigan will be depleted, but so are Warrington. I think this is a crucial game for Warrington. I think they'll be outside. They'll have an outside chance, but I think if they are to stay in the race for the top 4, I do think they need a result here. But judging by the last few weeks, they were not really convincing against Catalan, and then obviously they were poor against Lee at Magic Weekend. I just can't really see anything other than a Wigan win, maybe by 12, 16 points.
Also, on Saturday, in fact, there's 3 games starting with Lee Leopards at home to Castleford. My view on that, I think Lee are starting to show some good form. I think, as Sam C's been saying on this show all season, I think they will force their way, after a slow start to the season, I think they will force their way into the top 6. And especially at home, I just think they'll be far too strong for a Castleford side who picked up quite a few knocks at Magic Weekend, several head injuries which will rule people out. They're in a bit of disarray. They've lost to York 2 weeks ago, got battered by Wakefield with a really, really poor cast performance at Magic Weekend. Yeah, you'd hope from their point of view there'll be a response. Coach Ryancow was really upset with his team after the game in Everton, but I can't see that being anything other than a pretty convincing Lee victory, probably by 3 or 4 tries at least. I would have said. Cass are going to need to improve considerably just to avoid getting a thrashing there. Game of the week also on Saturday. Hull KR at home to Wakefield. Sam Cook, that's a tough one to call, isn't it? Can Wakefield spring what would be a bit of a surprise, I think, by winning at Hull KR? They've beaten them at home already this season.
Yeah, I think Craven Park's the key here. I think actually on form and on what's available to each squad, I actually think Wakefield, if you played this at a neutral ground, if you played this, say, Hill Dickinson on the weekend, I think Wakefield might be the favourites. I think Dean Havley, was still not sure. Willie Peters, he's obviously had 2 HIAs in a month, but they're still kind of waiting with the specialists to see if he's available or not. Sam Luckley might be back, but that might be about it in terms of the pack. And I think that's where Wakefield are so strong. They've got just a massive, massive pack. And I think, they can really challenge Hull KR down the middle. And, they did the same to Castleford, and then they were able to roll out wide and score plenty of points. And Joe Burgess might be back on the wing, which will add something for KR. But I don't think it's going to be, I think generally, if Hull KR are at full fitness, I'd favour Hull KR heavily. But I think this could be very close. I will edge it to Hull KR because I just think Craven Park's worth probably 2 tries at times. I think that crowd is massive for Hull KR. And Jez Litton is also back, and he was brilliant at the weekend. And that's probably where your difference is going to be made. You get the control from your hooker in a game where you may get dominated during the pack, and I think that could be crucial. So I'll tip KR by about 2 points.
To the Sam.
Yeah, I think just to show how tight it is, I think I might back a Wakefield win. I think it's the closest game of the week. I think it's rightfully the game of the week. I think it's a crucial game in the top 4. I think both are level on 22 points. I think so. I think only points difference is separating them. But yeah, I think Wakefield will take confidence out of that Magic win. Obviously, they only played Castleford, which is obviously a significantly weaker opponent than Hull KR. But yeah, I think I'll tip Wakefield. I think the momentum is there, and if they want to get a place in that top 4 at the end of the season, these are the wins that they need to start picking up.
And I don't know. I tend to agree with Sam C that home advantage might make the difference. I like Wakefield. I like the way they're playing. The big pack is really formidable, but Hull KR are a very tough side to beat on their own turf. So I'm gonna go for a narrow Hull KR win. Maybe Mikey Lewis golden point drop goal. Final game on Saturday, Catalans Dragons against Leeds Rhinos. Catalans coming off an absolute thumping at Magic Weekend in France at Castres against Toulouse, conceded 60 points, lost 60-18. You'd expect a bounce back, wouldn't you, from them? The heat, it's forecast to be a very hot day in Catalan. It's a 9 o'clock kickoff, but the temperature is going to be up around the 30s, so that'll give them an advantage. But the way Leeds are playing, it's hard to back against them, isn't it? The interesting thing is Leeds haven't scored on the last 3 trips to Catalan, which is quite an amazing statistic. Been nilled 3 consecutive times. I don't think that'll happen on this occasion. Big game for Leeds. With the other fixtures this weekend, with Warrington playing Saints, or KR playing Wakefield, I think if Leeds win, there'll be another step towards certainly securing a top 2 finish and possibly first place. I think, let's say the heat is a factor, but I think Leeds will probably be too strong for Catalans. And the fact that Leeds had a shaky spell against Bradford at Magic Weekend might help them. In fact, it gives them something to work on. Whereas if they'd won it by 50 or 60 points to nil, it's hard to focus the following week, isn't it? What do you improve on from there? Finally, St Helens at home to Toulouse. Sam Cook, I'm not sure this has the makings of a thriller, but Toulouse were really good against Catalans. Could they create an upset?
I actually think, you say not a thriller, but I think it could well be an upset. 'Cause I think Saints lost so many bodies on that game against Wigan. I think, that was, even those who didn't leave the field, with HIAs or ankle injuries, they're all going to be bumps and bruises. I think it was, like I say, it was a very physical encounter. And I think Toulouse, we've tasked them all season with putting an 80-minute performance, and they've done it against Catalans. If they can do it again on Sunday, then I see no reason why they can't spring an upset. I just think, like, you look at Ollie Ashelbot, I know it feels lazy to just analyse Ollie Ashelbot because he's obviously the Englishman in the team, but he's just so good. And I think out of backfield and, his little jinking runs, I think that's going to be such a danger to a Saints team that may well have a fair few youngsters in just by merit of the fact that they've got so many injuries. And I think I will tip a Toulouse win. I'm not sure. Feels like a big upset, but I think actually when the squad lists come out, it might not be as big an upset as we think. But I'll go to lose by 4 points if I'm gonna cover my back here if they could put an 80-minute performance in, which they rarely do. But yeah, I'll just pick to lose narrowly.
So there you have it. That's our thoughts on this weekend's game. We're keeping it short and sweet this week because Sam sees battery lights flashing on his laptop and he's lost his charger. So we've rushed through it a little bit, but I hope you enjoyed our predictions. You've no doubt got differing views. So please leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. And also, as I say at the end of every show, please like this video, subscribe to the channel. Really helps us. We can bring you more rugby league content in the future. I'm Peter Smith of the Yorkshire Evening Post. Been joined by Sam Cook and Sam Brocksom of Serious About Rugby League. We'll be back next week to look back on a week's events in Rugby League. Thank you all for watching and goodbye.
Thanks for joining us. Please like and share, and we'll see you next week.